Hi guys, welcome to Amarwani by Amar, and I'm pretty excited today because we finished reading one of my books yesterday, right? And we're starting to read. Am I looking fat? I hope I'm not, right? Cool. So we're starting to read my next book, right? So it's not in the order of the way I've written these books, but it's in the order of because I started with Happiness in Your Skin, so that's the first book I read. Now I'm beginning with the second book, and it's called 10 Short Stories for Young Adults. 10 Short Stories for Young Adults by Amarwani. I'll leave the link to the book on Amazon in the description, so you can go check it out. It has 10 short stories, and this was the first book I ever wrote. I wrote this book in 2010. I was laid off from my MBA job, and I had a loan on me, and I had time. So while I was looking for a job, because I needed a job badly, because I needed to pay off the loan, I wrote this book in that period. It's not the best writing I've produced. I think Happiness in Your Skin is the best writing I've produced in terms of a book. Although my blog is even way better than that, because my blog, I'm producing a lot of my best work. Some of the most important questions about life I'm answering on my blog. So check out my blog also. It's also in the description. Amarwani.blog. Right. So we're starting to read 10 short stories for young adults. That's the book. 10 short stories for young adults. It comes opposite on if you show it like this. Right. So we'll read the 10 short stories. We'll see depending on the duration of the video, if the story would be broken in one video or two videos. So cool. Let's read 10 short stories for young adults by Amarwani. The whole idea around reading these books is that is again around the top idea is around happiness only, because everything I've written has been to understand life more so that we can be more happier. Because eventually, whatever we do, the purpose of life is to be happy, right? So that's where, because these stories are fiction largely. They're supported by prose, but these stories are largely fiction. But yeah, I mean, it's all directed towards happiness or looking at different aspects of life. Cool. So let's read 10 short stories for young adults. There's acknowledgements. I'll skip that. Cool. Cool. So the first story. Okay, the first story. I hope you enjoy the book as much as I've enjoyed writing. The first story is called Today. The first story is called Today, and here it goes. Live for today. There'll never be another one like it. Live for today. There'll never be another one like it. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari starts with a quote by Robin Sharma. Live for today. There'll never be another one like it. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. There's another quote now by Michael Landon. Someone should tell us right at the start of our lives that we're dying. Wow. Someone should tell us right at the start of our lives that we're dying. Then we might live life to the limit, every minute of every day. Do it, I say. Whatever you want to do it now. There are only so many tomorrows. Isn't that beautiful? I think it's a beautiful quote. That somebody should tell us right at the start of our lives, when we are kids, when we are young adults, after we've finished. Somebody should just tell us at the start of our lives that we are dying any time. Like, I could die today. You could also die. People will love to die, right? Someone should tell us right at the start of our lives that we are dying. Then we might live life to the limit, every minute of every day. Do it, I say. Whatever you want to do it now. There are only so many tomorrows. When I finished my MBA, I was 28 years old. And then when I started writing books, I was 29. Yeah? I was 29 when I started writing books. I've turned 40 now, and just like a few days back. And I've written 7 books. Some of them are short books, like I said yesterday. Some of them are long books. But my process of finding happiness in life started post my MBA. It didn't start during my MBA. It started actually unconsciously. It started when I got depressed when I was 27. but the process of finding happiness, writing books, thinking about happiness, quitting my job at 34 to pursue writing and stand-up comedy, everything happened post MBA. Till MBA, I was on an autopilot doing things which most people do, just because most people do it. That's what most of the people live most of their lives. But I wanted to be happy. When I realized that my most important criteria in life is to not do what most people do but want to be happy, that's when my life really started. It's not been easy. It's not easy. But that's where we are. Yeah, cool. So someone should tell us right at the start of our lives that we are dying, that we might live life to the limit. Every minute of every day, do it, I say. Whatever you want to do it now. There are only so many tomorrows. Today, this day is the most important possession we have. This day is the most important possession we have. By the time tomorrow comes, this day would be past and you'll never have it again. I wrote this at 29. Today, this day is the most important possession we have. By the time tomorrow comes, this day would be past and you'll never have it again. Enjoy it. Make the most of it. At least live with this realization. I have a personal reason for starting this book with this chapter. For majority of my life hitherto, I have been one of those people who did not learn to live for today. I've been someone who lived for a day that will make me happy. And I'm telling you this since I know many people who belong to this category. Why did it happen? I was taught that you must sacrifice your present for your future. I was taught that you must sacrifice your present for your future. My father is an interesting person. During my school life, during my college life, he always told me that one day you can do whatever you want to do with your life. But for now, finish your studies, finish your college, get an MBA. I was always taught to sacrifice my present for my future. I was taught that you must sacrifice your present for your future. That I must keep working for a distant future, and when I achieve it, I will have the right to be happy. Before that, I cannot be happy. Sacrifice the present. Sacrifice one day after another, 1 year after another. I feel so grateful sometimes that at some point in my life, I actually started living the things I really wanted to live. I'm talking to you guys right now, right? You like my friends, people who listen to these videos. I'm trying to build a community of people through this channel who are interested in living a deep, meaningful, happy life, who don't want to postpone their happiness to tomorrow, who want to do things they really want to do. You are my friends, right? And I'm trying to build a community here of people who think like this, right? Who do not want to sacrifice their present for their future, because we don't know. Before that, I cannot be happy. Sacrifice the present, sacrifice one day after another, 1 year after another. I ended in the company of people who said we will live life one day when we finish college, when we find a job, when this happens, when that happens, and life kept slipping by. I'm so surprised that it did not dawn on me how foolish I was. It took many years and tremendous amount of pain for me to realize how wrong I have been. Today is the only day you can live. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. I think I was 24 years old when I was reading the last chapter of the legendary book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. I remember crying like someone who's just realized losing someone extremely serious. Even after reading it, took another couple of years for the lesson to sink in. It was hard, very hard. Life teaches everyone differently. I've had to pay for all my lessons. I like to say there are very few absolute truths on earth. Most statements can be challenged. Maybe science will make further advances in future and this may also change. But as things stand now, no one can refute the truth that we may die anytime. We need to accept that death could be very close. You may live for 100 years, you may die tomorrow. When I was in my final year of undergraduate studies, I sold life insurance for a brief period of time to make some money. Sounds like a distant past. They're right who they say that selling life insurance is one of the toughest things to do. Why? Because people do not accept that they're going to die anytime. They argue with the entire rationale of life insurance. This happens because they are living in denial. The greatest pain I've experienced in my growing up years is somehow most people I met held the belief that we should postpone life, postpone enjoying life to another day. We're taught to select a goal and sacrifice your present, a month, a year, 10 years to attain that goal while making your life miserable during the process of attainment of that goal. What use is a life we do not spend to live? Let me repeat this question. What use is a life we do not spend to live? What use is a life lived in expectation that we will live it someday? Live like you'll die tonight. Let me tell you a story. So here's where the story starts. The way the book has been structured is there's prose talking about the subject of the chapter, and then it's followed by a story which is fiction, right? Here's where we start the story. Let's do this. So Roshan was a bright kid. He was a consistent topper in primary school and loved to play table tennis, cricket and chess. His parents were both employed and found difficulty in finding time to spend with him. Like most Indian parents, they wanted to see him succeed and outdo the other kids of the locality, the city and whatever else they could think of. Roshan was always under pressure from his parents to stay at the top. He could not ever come at the second place. He knew that he'll have to face severe rebuke from his parents in case he ever dropped from the top, and he dreaded that. He had a sister also, but the pressure on her was milder. She was a girl, and not much was to be expected of her, according to their family. His parents did not think that he should waste time on games and activities. They had been extremely hardworking, but did not live a life beyond books during their school years. As a result, Roshan hardly got time for games and activities. Roshan's parents were chartered accountants. It is extremely difficult to become a chartered accountant in India, he had heard. He remembered his father telling him once, "You have no idea, Roshan, how hard I had to work to become a chartered accountant. And so did your mother. The success rate is only 1%. That means out of every 100 people who apply to become a chartered accountant, only one succeeds. You see, do you understand? I cleared all the exams in one shot, and your mother had to appear for final exams thrice, but she also made it. I helped her to clear the final exams." Actually, that's when she fell for me, but that's not the point. The point is we have to work extremely hard to become what we are. That should inspire you to work hard also. I want you to become a chartered accountant also. Otherwise, what will people say? What will people say? See that son of chartered accountants. He could not make anything of his life. See, he came second. What will society think of us? His father ended his speech. Roshan's parents provided him with material support that they could. He had a chauffeur to drop him to school, to tuitions and bring back home. He had all the material comforts, but slowly Roshan's performance started to fall. He topped his school till standard 8, but he came second in class 9. Final exams, all hell broke loose. How could you do this? What happened? Why did you not tell us earlier something like this is likely? We would have provided you with all the resources you needed. Roshan, where did we fall short? His father shouted incredulously. Roshan looked at his father and he did not know what to say. He was sobbing. His mother was undecided how to react to the situation. She thought that she agreed with her husband. Roshan entered class standard 10 with high pressure on him. His father had asked his mother to make sure that Roshan must never fall from the top spot again. Unfortunately for the family, his performance kept deteriorating. In his term examinations, Roshan was third from last. He did not know how to face his parents after the results were announced. He reached home that day and slept in his room without telling anything to anybody. However, he realized he could not hide the news for long, since his parents had been invited to the parents and teachers meeting scheduled for the following weekend. He was shivering. When he went to see the results with his father, he knew what the result was. What he could not face was the reaction of his father. He did not know how he would bear or follow once his father knows of the results. He fell unconscious at the gate of the school. Everyone gathered on the spot and they felt that Roshan must have had a heat stroke. He was taken to the hospital where he could not be resuscitated on the spot. Roshan did not wake up ever again. He was declared brought dead. No one could understand it. Roshan was dead. His body was sent for autopsy and no concrete results could be arrived at by the doctors. His parents were shocked completely, unable to figure out what happened to Roshan. One person had known, Roshan's little sister. She knew that Roshan was killed systematically. He had been denied a childhood with a strain on the little shoulders, pain of expectations he could not bear anymore. He was not allowed to live a single day of his life since he began schooling. He was always told to keep working to stay at the top. He was taught to sacrifice his present. He could not take it. End of story. Roshan would not have died if his parents allowed him to live his childhood. If they told him to take it easy and explore life the way he likes and be around to guide him. His life was wasted one day after another, and one day he just could not take it anymore. I could not find the name of the great man who wrote the following words, but they mean a lot. Read them once, read them again, and apply the lesson. It appeals to a sense of logic. The moment. It's called the moment. I may never see tomorrow. There is no written guarantee, and things that happened yesterday belong to history. I cannot predict the future. I cannot change the past. I just have the present moment. I must treat it as my last. I must use this moment wisely, for it soon will pass away and be lost to me forever as part of yesterday. I must exercise compassion, help the fallen to their feet, be a friend unto the friendless, make an empty life complete. The unkind things I do today may never be undone, and the friendships that I failed to win may never more be won. I may not have another chance on bended knees to pray and thank God with humble heart for giving me this day. Anonymous. The Day Vision. A small poem. I'm up before the dawn breaks, I run as dark fades. I sleep a little, allowing my body and senses to unwind. I eat a little, nourishing my soul, body and mind. Laziness knocked, I left it. Energy is my name, vibrant is my word. I love my past, everything has had a reason. The lessons have made me what I've become. Spring is my favorite and I love every season. Future will be as I see it or better still, and I'm sure I'm yet to see my best. I believe I can think of it. I stick to the truth, sweet or bitter, harsh or pretty. I do as I say, my word is integrity. I work for over half a day, do what I believe is not work but play. What I do defines me, not money people name, the best in the standard. And play I do to win the game. Smile every second just for the sake of cheer and grace. No one change a thing on earth with a frown, tense and grumpy face. I love life and I love living. This day on earth is such a gift. If there's God, I pray, grant me what it takes to make most of it. So that is the end of the first chapter, first story on, it is called Today. Make the most of today. Because yesterday is dead. And we don't know if we have it tomorrow. I'll see you later. Bye.